Hello and welcome. I wanted to show you a really quick and simple look today. This is the look that I've been doing every day. I've been sick for the last couple of weeks, starting to feel a lot better now, but I've been not feeling great and really low energy. But I've been really enjoying doing this quick and simple makeup look just to pick me up. So I think it's a great option for either if you just don't have a lot of time or you just don't feel like doing your makeup, but you want to feel a little bit better. So if you'd like to see how I put this whole look together and everything I used, just keep on watching. So to start out, I have my skincare on, and I did a little bit of the Becca under eye color corrector. This is now sold by Smashbox, but I understand it's the same product. So I used the lightest shade of that, and I just take a little tiny bit of it onto my Sonia G Jumbo Concealer brush, and I just kind of focus it right there, because that's where I find I have kind of the most obvious shadow in the bags under my eyes. So I just did a tiny little bit of that, and then I'm ready to move on to more complexion products. So I've been loving using these two shades of the Westman Atelier Vital Skin Foundation. Here's Freddie to say hello. I have shades Atelier 0 and Atelier N. Atelier N is actually lighter than Atelier 0, so I just use that in certain areas, and then I use Atelier N in other areas of my face. Gucci Westman has always talked about using two shades of this foundation, and I only recently started doing that, but I've really been enjoying the effect, and I think it gives me the best results and really what I'm looking for from this foundation. So I'm going to start with Atelier N. I have to dig into it with this little palette knife thing here because I'm down to the very end of it. So I just take a little bit of that on there, and then I just put it on the areas where I want to be a little bit brighter and lighter, since this is the lighter shade. So I'm going to put a little bit, just kind of dot it a little bit under the eyes there. I'm going to put it above the brows. I'm going to put a little bit of it right here as well on this kind of side of the top of the nose there. And then I'm going to also put some on just kind of the corners of my lips. And then I also want some right here, because I don't like when that area looks too dark. And then I also am going to just kind of pull a little bit of it right under kind of the contour area of the cheekbone. Okay, so that's where I'm putting the lighter shade. And then I take the slightly darker shade, Atelier 0, and I like to put that, I struggle with blemishes on this area of my face mostly, and usually actually underneath the chin, but I have some healing ones here as well. And then I like this area to be a little bit darker. I'm gonna put some right on that healing pimple right there. So I think the Charlotte Tilbury, the new Beautiful Skin Foundation, actually broke me out. So that's why I have more kind of in different areas than I would normally have blemishes. But they're healing pretty quickly, so that's good. And I'll put a little bit right here too. So I've got my tones kind of mapped out there, and then I just take my Sonia G mini base brush, and this makes super quick and easy work of blending everything out. The reason I prefer that slightly darker shade in this area especially is it kind of contours a tiny little bit. Like, it's obviously not dark enough to actually do a contour, but because it is darker in relation to the makeup on some of the other areas of the face, it just kind of shapes it a little bit. And I also find that the slightly darker color is a little bit better at covering pigmentation and blemishes. So it's perfect for that area of my face. I'm just doing swatches of these two shades so you can see them compared to each other. So there are the two shades of the Vital Skin foundation there. So that is Atelier N, which is the lightest shade in the range, and that's Atelier 0, and you can see that Atelier 0 is a little bit warmer, while you've got a little bit more of that kind of cool pinkness in Atelier N. And then I just kind of reassess, so I'm gonna add just a little bit more to there and to this right there. You can do this with a pinpoint method, but I'm a little bit too lazy to do that right now, so I'm just gonna use that jumbo concealer brush again. And then kind of pat and blend with the mini base. Okay, next I go into a little bit of blush, and I love to use my Sonia G Classic base for this. So this is basically the same as the mini base, but just bigger. And I think it's perfect for applying cream blushes. So I'm gonna go in with my Minori Orchid blush first. And depending on the day, I might just use this, or I might go in with this and a couple of others, which I'll do today. But I like this as my starting one because it's quite cool toned. I'm not going to be using any bronzer or contour today, but this has enough coolness in it that for my skin tone, it just adds a little bit of shape to the face as well. So I start on my cheeks, pull it across my nose, and then blend it onto the forehead as well. I also like to take the edge of the brush with that and just sweep it over the eye lightly. And I also like to apply a little bit where I would apply contour on my chin and jawline. Just again to add a little bit of that shape and just some more lively color to the face. And then I usually go into some Salt New York blushes. So today I think I'm going to start with Cocoa, and then I'm going to use a little bit of Rose. Cocoa is a nice shade too if you're not using bronzer because it has that brown quality to it. I basically just put that in all the same places I put the other blush, but since this is kind of a darker shade, I do focus it a little bit more back on the cheeks, and then I go into Rose, and that's kind of more toward the front. Since I'm applying everything so quickly, it can help to just go back with the mini base and just kind of blend around the edges. And then I usually don't bother with any highlighter, but if I do, I just go into these two highlighters that I have in my Salt palette, the shades Pearl and Beige from Salt, and on the same brush that I used for my blush. More concentrated on the tops of the cheekbones, the edge of the brush. And then you can also just kind of pat a little bit over the main part of the cheek as well. Now I usually don't use powder when I'm doing this little routine, but if I do, I generally would go for the Becca Light Shifter powder, so I'm gonna do that today. And I love to use the Sonia G Buffer Pro with this. This is, to me, the best brush for this type of powder. And I'll just kind of buff it into the chin where I have the most issues that I want to deal with, and a little bit over the nose. And I'll pull a tiny bit just on the edge of the brush under the eyes. Then if I feel I need to reinforce the blush, I just take the same brush with nothing additional on it, just to kind of intensify that color there. Okay, next is lip liner, and this is another thing. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. Today I'm going to because I just want some definition. Taking the Lisa Eldridge Fawn liner just around the edges where my lips are quite pale. And I'll leave that like that for now, but I will be adding liquid lip balm at the end. And then I go into eyes. So I like to just do kind of like a one and done eyeshadow and just basically put the same color all over my lid, and then a little bit of liner with a powder eyeshadow. So I like to do a pretty neutral color, and I like to be kind of like a satin texture. So one of the combinations I've been using is from this Pat McGrath Midnight Sun palette. I love to mix the Skin Show Moon Glow shade with this matte right here, which is called Taboo. So those two mixed together create a really nice kind of neutral, warm satin shade. It almost looks like a glossy eye when you mix the two shades together. So I really love the effect that those create. I really like that kind of simple but effective mixture of those two shades there. And then the other palettes that I've been reaching for a lot are the Dior Nude Dress. I really like to use this shade mixed with that shade, or just this shade all over the lid. And even more, I've been enjoying the soft Cashmere Quint here, which is one of my Project Pan items, and I've been using either this shade or this shade all over the lid. And today I think I'm gonna go for this shade right here in the center. It doesn't really look like much in the pan, but once you get it on the lid, it's really pretty. So taking my Rephr 01 brush, just going to blend that all over the eyelid. You can see it has that really pretty sheen that I wasn't expecting when I looked at it in the pan. Then with the KJH Spectrum number 17 brush into the exact same shade, and I just pull that along the lower lash line. Then I use the KJH Spectrum number 14 brush to do the liner, and I like to basically use the darkest brown in whatever palette I'm using, so I'm going to use this one. Then for brows, I'm really lazy. I just brush them sometimes. Sometimes I don't even do that. And then I use either the same brush I used for liner, or if I feel like grabbing a smaller brush, I will. This is the KJH 21. And then I just use whatever eyeshadows are appropriate from the palette that I'm using. So from this palette, I actually just mix these two shades that I already put on my eyes to do a really quick and easy little fill in on the brows. So I just start where I have the most sparseness, kind of scribble it through, and then a little bit more delicately in the area that's more visible on my face. And then just quickly brush through again. And that's it for the brows. Sometimes if I get a little bit of powder onto my skin, I can take my concealer brush or the mini base and just kind of pat over where there might be pigment where I don't want it on the skin, but that's basically it for the brows. And then it's kind of 50-50 whether I wear mascara or not. I think I will today. I just grab any mascara. Today I'm gonna use the Victoria Beckham Future Lash. I like this because, well, it's a clean formula and I don't really know what that means. I don't put too much stock in the whole clean beauty thing, but I do find that for mascaras especially, so-called clean formulas tend to be really good for not irritating the eyes. So sometimes when you're sick, your eyes can be kind of easily irritated and red and dry and scratchy. And I find that this mascara and other clean ones never irritate my eyes. This formula from Victoria Beckham is also a tubing mascara, which makes it very, very easy to remove. It just comes off with water. So I don't find I get smudging from it. That's not a typical problem I have with any mascaras. But I don't get smudging with it, but it also removes really easily with just water. And that also helps if you don't want to be rubbing and irritating your eyes when you're removing your makeup as well. So we're almost finished. I just want to finish off the lips and then that'll be it. So what I've been doing lately, I like to use a really moisturizing product on my lips. So there are a number of different things that I would use, but lately I've been really loving, again, Westman Atelier products. Since I have 2 shades of these liquid lip balms, I really just like to pair them together. Of course, it's not necessary to do that, but I like the way these 2 shades pair together. So starting with the shade Nana or Nana, it's this kind of nude brownish mauve shade, which is really pretty. It's a little bit cool toned, but I can still wear it. I still like how it looks, and especially paired with the other shade that I have. So I just put that all over the lips. And as I said, sometimes I pair it with a liner like I did today. Other times I don't bother. Put that all over the lips, and then I go in with the shade Nunu, which is this kind of soft, quite pale, and it's a lot less pigmented, I find, than the other shade, kind of corally shade. And I just put that more in the center of the lips and kind of mush them together. And I find that this has just enough kind of warmth and a little bit more brightness that it really plays well with that kind of more toned down browny mauve type shade. I usually like to add a little bit more blush at this point. I like a lot of blush, and I just think it helps to finish off the look with a little bit more. Skin doesn't have much life to it when I'm sick, so I like to help it out a little bit. And this is the completed look. So it took a lot more time actually to, talk through it, of course, but when I'm just doing this in real life on an everyday basis, I can do it in probably 3 minutes. It's really, really quick and easy and simple, and it just gives me that little bit of a boost that makes me feel better, especially when I'm feeling sick and I really don't have energy to do much, but I just want to feel a little bit better. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments below. If you'd like to see more from me and you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I would really love for you to do so. Thanks again so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.